So if you guys don't know, the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy decided, I think, what was possibly a response to my previous video about him, where he goes on this whole tirade and is quoted in a, I believe, Navy or Military Times article saying how he's apologetic for Badwater, he's apologetic for this or that, and I said, you need to go to Reddit. That's where all the complaints are at. That's where the sailors are deck plating right now, and they're waiting for his response on a bunch of these topics. Now, granted, I know when I post something, every now and then, something's going to be a little bit of annotated, by those people that are in power. And I know that there are Master Chiefs that are Fleet, Force, name it. Mick Pons may be watching it, Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy then decides, he's going to do it and ask me anything. And I was like, I posted my story. I was grateful. I was thankful for it. Now, I was a little bummed and I was a little hurt. And I'll explain why. In the original video, I'd said, I need everybody to reach out to the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy. And that way we score an interview. That way we're able to actually communicate. Because I do think I've built trust with you guys here. I don't want to give any softball questions. I want to ask the tough questions. And I believe that there are answers to them. Okay, so I'm going to read this so you guys know I'm not lying. Here we go. Here, I don't know if you guys want to screenshot. I don't know, thumbnail it. But this is from the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy _PA, Public Affairs, I think it was. Now, one of you great people out there said, hey, Mick Pond, Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, the popular Navy YouTuber NickyMGTV invited you for an interview. Any chance you'll take him up on his offer? Thank you for your time. And I was like, great. I'm so glad that one of the people that is part of the community was willing to reach out to the Mick Pond and say, hey, man, this guy's asking for an interview. Now, I'm assuming this was not the Mick Pond, but it was the public affairs representative for him. And the guy's name was Paley, I don't know how you say it. Says, they say, to answer your question, patiently waiting for NickyMGTV to message us the request, which, willing to bring Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy on. I built trust. I have junior service members here, veterans, the American public, which I would say a lot of the American public and service members have lost faith in senior enlisted leadership. So there has to be an olive branch stretched out in order to bring you in a little bit, in order to make sure that it's kind of legit, right? And I looked at it and I said, so Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, or the public affairs person, which I'm assuming is a person that's been in for a little while to understand this. Imagine you had a group of junior sailors, maybe thousands, hundreds. I would say thousands of people are going to watch this. And they say, we have a bunch of concerned sailors that are your sailors that want answers on current and modern social structure issues, administrative, whatever it is that is going on with the Navy. Would you show up to that meeting if they said, I will have 1,000 sailors talking to you? I bet you they would say yes. So why was this one not taken in the same tone? I was a little surprised. Just saying. There used to be a photo, which is in the thumbnail that you'll see here. But it says, Mick Pond Honea, ask me anything, January 20th, 2023, starting at 2 p.m. Now, this was posted a day ahead of time. Now, they go on this, thanks for engagement, blah, blah, blah. He's going to come up at 1400, answer your questions. Now, mind you, a whole day had went by where questions were trickling in. There were some of the most voted questions, and there were some things that were common trends, okay? Now, when I go through this, as the Ask Me Anything came up, they did beards, which is always a top comment. Give us beards. I'm still going to say that. Pay and personnel issues, which is... wow. Really going here today, guys. Pay and personnel system, which is going to be an issue because we've had people with delayed pay issues. And then access to mental health care. Now, obviously, they are talking about having these massive updates where you can go outside of the military network in order to be able to get that, which I was like, cool. Thank you for reinforcing policies, things that we're going forward. And I think these were probably some of the top ones that came out. Now, I was a little disappointed because usually that's not how an Ask Me Anything works. to begin with, which kind of led us to why I think this wasn't going to go the way that we thought it was going to. And that's because typically when you didn't ask me anything, you would just respond to the thread below it. You don't typically go back to the original question or the original post and say, hey, we're going to update a few things, unless there's something to amend, maybe a time or, inquiries or, something that they want to add as far as specifications of questions or whatever to prompt something, which looks like they were really trying to get questions done. And he stayed longer. He said, so I stayed for an extra hour today because I was a little slow navigating the questions and learning how to use Reddit, but I promise to get better with the site to continue talking with you. I enjoyed the well thought out and professional questions and appreciate what you brought to me. I look forward to doing this again. I wasn't able to get to every question, but my staff and I will continue to look through these comments throughout the next week and get some answers to as many of you as we can. And says, I hope this was beneficial to you as it was for me. I tremendously appreciate what you've brought to my attention. So I will say, you do need some work on how to work Reddit. I could have helped you out. I have so many thoughts. So they had 24 hours of questions and stuff filtering in. Why were they're not like a sit-down board of public affairs people saying, Master Chief, these are the hard-hitting top 50 comments or questions that we have. Let's formulate answers for these. We're probably going to get a few others. We'll get some of those. We can kind of pre-generate a few. We already know what we're going to say about this. It's not like a live stream like this where we're talking about it. Why not just write out those answers that are already kind of public affairs proof, but still good? Because not only did they not answer these in order of what you would see them, you're looking at, and I went by the most popular. I'm going to go up here. Sort by the best, right? The best ones you could go through. 104 upvotes. No McPon writing, right? Then we go down. And I look at this, and it almost looks like some of these questions were cherry-picked on what they would... And mind you, I want you to commend people that were writing paragraphs. And let's go to the first one, the top comment. And you guys can judge if this was a legitimately good or bad comment here. Let's see. And this one is about the S word, about the end of life. You know what I mean? Talks about housing, talks about bonuses that are taxed. You don't need to read the whole thing. They're very thought out questions. And it takes a while to really get to the meat and potatoes of a McPon answer, which even then, you'll see people are talking about word salad. We'll get to that as the backlash happens. MZAT779 says, McPon, is there any way you can publish your all hands calls answering the fleet's questions? I think that would be the best and really informative to the entire fleet in real time on where we are on large issues. I'm sure you get asked about beers at every all hands call. This has to be possible at the last McPon made public via text. The entire infamous interaction with the George Washington crew that created the quotations lower your standards memes that are still being regurgitated across all social media daily. Also, what is your vision and leadership role in social media as a leader? I'm overwhelmed, which I agree with that. But then the response that we got was this. This is a great idea, and I'll work with the public affairs team to figure it out. I'm not sure if we have anything we could push now, but we look forward to make our next all-hands call public. It is a lot of work to transcribe an all-hands call, so I don't plan on asking the team to do that anytime soon. McPon, I have a lot of ideas on this. You don't need to live stream it. You don't need to transcribe it. There's so many other things that could have been done to make this successful, and I'm going to keep scrolling just to show you guys where we're at. But anyway, we're getting a lot of things that we're not seen in a positive light, and you're seeing how many people are giving paragraphs upon paragraphs of questions. And I really do hope leadership of all these commands, or any command out there is there's traction on this. Let me read here. Maybe I'm missing a resource or information I should know. Maybe there's a problem someone else is having that I'm having that they found a solution to. Maybe they're having a problem and I can kind of cite and, link up and ask questions about how they handled X, Y, or Z. The internet is a tool nowadays, and that is where I think we're not seeing this. And I'd love the McPon to come on the channel. We'll talk about stuff. And your public affairs team, I'd love to bring ideas to you to make this a more regular thing. We've learned during COVID all these tools and regulations and things we can do in order to make things work even in the most adverse times, but we for some reason can't put out a weekly video from this. Whatever happened to Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Richardson, which was on Facebook every other day, essentially, making his face known, talking to sailors. I understand. FaceTime is great. We're in the world of 2022 where FaceTime doesn't mean I need to physically see you. That's not the case anymore. You just need to be present, and it's okay if it's not always in person, even though that is great. Taking selfies, shaking hands, kissing babies. I don't know about kissing babies, but, doing that stuff is good. I believe the AMA was one day before this, and this kind of gained some traction. And this is from Dallas Renegade. It says, what was everyone's view on this Ask Me Anything? The AMA was too generic and did not answer those hard questions sailors had that affect all of us. What is everyone's thought? Now, a lot of this came down to there were in-depth questions from everything from pay, uniform allowances, bonuses, evaluation issues. This is a gold mine of feedback where you look at, 20 years ago, any organization was like, please give us information so we can make your lives better, keep you here, stay, and actually, find out what makes you tick to make this organization work. It was the biggest word salad ever. A lot of talking quotations without actually saying a damn thing. The BS was a complete waste of time. Bad on me for expecting more, I guess. And then this person says, lower your standards, because we all know that our infamous former MCPON, Russell Smith, was out there and allegedly had said this in one of the statements that he'd made at one of his all-hands calls. It says, my biggest question would be, would Petty Officer Second Class Honea accept the answers given by the MCPON Honea today? And people are chiming in, this is a great question, I hope he reads it. And then even Don't Give Up the Ship podcast, which is an infamous Navy podcast that is out there that's pretty notable, says, this just so much, frame that, make it the background on your phone, make stickers and shirts. This is everything. Thanks for this. And again, most excited to see his response to sailors' genuine concerns about the divide between E1 to E6 and E7, meaning Chief Petty Officers and above. But all we get is BS responses about how he's put policies out to the message. And obviously the chiefs we interact with don't care about it. So obviously the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy is a direct reflection of all enlisted ranks below him, right? And that is his point, to be an advocate and to ensure he shapes culture any way he can. And one of the big things is the Chiefs Mess, right? And there's been a lot of controversy that's gone over there. So it's all about fostering culture and bringing this together. And I think the tool was great that the Master Chief Officer of the Navy was using. I'm glad that they're using Reddit. I'm glad they're looking for ways to make it better. But I also look at the sentiment of, you can have all the right intentions with the worst execution. This wasn't the worst, I'll give that. But I do think that there could be way more taken from this than what we did. And I will save that for their public affairs team. If MCPON wants to talk to me, whoever, because that is getting into the nuance and all these things that I think are beyond our control.